Last night I did a whole lot of blogging, but most importantly, I watched two programs. The first one was The Wave. I think it was one of our most premier supporters, Bridge MCP, said, "Egberto, you have to watch this. Watch this. It's about fascism, and it was about how a teacher converted a kids into Hitler-type loving people without much effort." But the second one I watched was The Civil War. It's a documentary on CNN that I've watched before, but this must be a segment that I missed. I want to play this segment, but before I play the segment, I want to preface something. I want you to look at that guy from the context of how entitled he felt for himself. I want you to also note how the disregard that he has for humanity. And I say humanity except for who he is. I want you to listen to that in detail. This is one segment that got me so irate at his tonality, his tone, and his way of thinking that I couldn't continue blogging on a specific issue. Because listen to this piece, and when we're done, we'll come back on the other side. Because one has to understand that these guys have got to be made irrelevant very, very, very soon. Check this out.
James McGill, he settled this farm almost 200 years ago, and I felt like I followed in his footsteps. My wife raised the children. All I ever did was work. Of course, now the federal government took my farm, so I had it financed with federal government, Farmers Home Administration. They wouldn't redo my loans. During the war and Reconstruction, people in the South lost everything. Well, I can empathize with them. It made me mad, and I could understand why they were mad. And it's been 150 years, and these people are still mad in the South about it. It is wrong for the federal government to dictate to the states what they should or should not do. Ever since the war, no one's property has been secure. There's a lot of talk of reparations for slaves. My great-great-grandfather, Abraham Lincoln, emancipated the slaves. He didn't get paid for them. The war to prevent Southern independence changed our country for the worse.
Do you think the war changed the country for the worse? Does it?
I do understand parts of what my father is speaking on, because I feel that way, that the government is too big and has too much power. It's an invasion. But how long would it have taken to free the slaves? How long would it have taken for them to realize that slavery is wrong?
Do you think slavery left an imprint on the mindset of people in America?
I'm saying the war left more of an imprint. That's my personal opinion.
For black and white?
Yes.
So you feel like the war itself was bigger aggression than slavery?
Yes.
It feels like you're dismissing the experience of millions of enslaved people. It feels like you're not seeing what they experienced at the hands of the people who were enslaving them. I mean, how is treating people as property not a greater horror?
Well, my feelings was that it was legal. It was a settled way of order. They had laws that they had to live up to, enforced on them, and treat them like civilly. I don't hate James McGill, but I just want our schools and universities to stop teaching our children to hate our Southern ancestors. They don't deserve that.
Now, the entitlement that this guy feels, I want to get on something technical first. You notice he's pissed off because he got a loan from the federal government, and evidently he was not that good of a farmer, because evidently he defaulted on the loan and lost the land that his forefathers stole from somebody else, right? So, I mean, he wasn't a darn good farmer, even having lived on stolen land and stolen land that he all but got for free, and he couldn't do something with it. And we have black farmers all over this country. Couldn't get loans from the federal government, had to do their own farming without any one of these loans to make them better farmers. But he got it. He was of the right hue to get it. Now, then the belief that they have a reason to be angry because somebody is taking their property. Now they are living on land that was stolen from indigenous people. They are living on lands that they've signed treaty with people to say, hey, if you give us this land, we won't blow your head off, and then we'll leave you alone in these other places. And then after that, we break the treaties and we come and take the land anyway. These are the people who are living on these lands as big farms and ranches across Mississippi and Texas, etc., etc., etc. And they feel that somehow somebody is doing them such a huge wrong because they took something away from them without thinking that they took something away from somebody else. And then the kicker here, when they ask, do you feel that the Civil War was about slavery, the slave aggression? Yes. And then he says, but, they're talking about wanting reparations. Nobody gave my great-granddaddy anything when they took his property away. Human beings, slaves, when they took his property, nobody gave him reparations. The inhumanity, the evil within this guy, even the son understood it. The son said, I don't like big government, all of that. The standard Republican Southern methodologies, right? But then he said, how long would they have taken for these guys to realize that slavery is wrong, that holding another human being in bondage is wrong? How long would it have taken these Southern folks, including my daddy? People, we have to extricate. These guys, a guy like that never changes. He feels entitled to his superiority. He tries to hold on to by force. That's what he feels. I am superior. Therefore, the indigenous folks that I've stole their land for, I earned it. And anybody trying to take it back or take some back and give it back, we have reasons to be mad. We have reasons to be upset. And you see those slave guys? Oh, no. Nobody, no reparations for them because after all, nobody gave my granddaddy reparations. And look at me. I'm a lousy farmer who, because of my hue, should have been just fine. But nobody gave me, they didn't give me that handout that I deserved. We have to extricate that thought process. We have to make guys like him irrelevant. Good. I listened to the son, and I listened to what the son was saying between the lines. And that should give us all hope. Because while the son is following the conservative ideology, even the son acknowledges the evil within his daddy. How long would it have taken you to understand that slavery is wrong? Extricate, make these guys irrelevant, and never back down. Never give them the benefit of the doubt. Too many progressives are trying to give folks like this the benefit of the doubt. None. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.